Pavanam Jivana Pavanam Jivana Pavanam 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 Jivana Pavanam Jivana Pavanam Pavanam Jivana Pavanam Jivana Pavanam Jivana Pavanam Jivana. Namaskar. So tonight we'll continue with this discourse from Idea and Ideology about the Kosas. So the Kosas, they are the layers of the mind, and we have 5 Kosas called Kamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Atimanas Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Hiramaya Kosha. And so I just one second, I will put up a slideshow. Here. So here's the 5 Kosas. And so last time we were talking about the Kamaya Kosha and the Manamaya Kosha. And we started a little bit talking about Adimanas Kosha as well. And so today we will continue on Adimanas Kosha, supramental mind, and go into Vijnanamaya Kosha as well. So the Kosas, they exist within the chitta or the objective mind of the individual. And we also have ahang and mahat, which is the doer I, or I do feeling, and I exist feeling. And the chitta is the objective mind. And so when we meditate, we are trying to withdraw the mind from chitta into ahang, ahang into mahat, and mahat into the atman. And then atman automatically then will merge with paramatman. Now let's go back to the text, and we will read out. So last time we were talking about the tanmatras, which is the minute, basically they are the particles that we receive from each of the elements or the Buddhas. And so through those tanmatras, we are able to perceive the world around us. Okay, someone tried to say something so I understand if my sound is okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear, yeah. So, okay, so Nilima, you can maybe start to read, and we can start here on this as regards the macrocosm.
Okay.
And then you can read down to here.
As regards to the microcosm, the mind is said to be started at that stage where the sense of subjectivity, mahatattva, the subjectivated I, aham tattva, and the objectivated I, Shita, are present. Hence, in the stage of Shita, we get Mahatattva and Aham Tattva as well. In the extraversal Shankara process, Shita gradually crudifies under the influence of static Prakriti. Still, the crude solid is created. This process of crudification of Shita, having a coordination of Mahatattva and Aham Tattva, is divided into 5 stages koshas. According to their relative density of crudeness, developed through the bondage of the static principles, the 5 koshas starting from the initial state are Hirangmaya kosha, Vijnanmaya kosha, Atimanasa kosha, Manomaya kosha, and Kamamaya kosha. The Kamamaya kosha is the crudest stage of Shita, where it is metamorphosed into the crudest stuff. With the 5 manifested fundamental physical factors, it is physical for the microcosm, but mental for the macrocosm. The macroscopic mind displays its will.
The macrocosmic mind.
Macrocosmic mind displays its will. The macrocosmic control over the 5 fundamental physical factors means the internal display of the macrocosmic Kamamaya kosha. Nothing is beyond the scope of cosmic mind. That is, everything comes within that mental scope. And so the macrocosmic entity needs no nervous system or indriyas for controlling these operations. And therefore, the cosmic mind at this stage requires no physical structure as the unit mind does.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So here, Sri Chandamurti, he is explaining the difference between the microcosm, which is the individuals like us, and the macrocosm. And so the macrocosm is that is the whole cosmic system. And so within the macrocosm is the macrocosmic mind. And so the macrocosmic mind has Chitta, Ahang, and Mahat. And so here he says, as regards the macrocosm, the mind is said to be started at that stage where the sense of subjectivity, Mahatattva, the subjectivated I, Aham Tattva, and the objectivated I, Chitta, are all present. So there's now sanchara is another word. So there's a few words we need to get familiar with here. So we have the words Mahatattva, Aham Tattva, and Chitta. So those are very basic terminologies. So you can become familiar with those. It's the feeling of existence, the feeling of ego or subjectivated I, and the objectivated I or Chitta. Another word which is important is the word sanchara. So sanchara, it represents the movement in the creation of the universe where the consciousness is becoming cruder and cruder. And so the sanchara process, it starts when, okay, so before the sanchara process, you have the pure consciousness with no manifestation. We call that nirguna Brahma. And the gunas are the creative forces, the sattva, raja, and tama. And so those three forces, they are fighting amongst each other of dominion. They form a triangle, and then stop sharing. So you'll have a triangle, and so the triangle. Let's say you have a triangle of forces, which is the sattva, raja, and tama. And so that is called the primordial triangle. And so obviously triangle is important in our philosophy. And then from that triangle, from one of the vertices, from one of the corners, the issues are resulting force, means a new force comes. And means there's an imbalance in the triangle. And then one of the forces comes out from the triangle. So when this happens, the first force that comes out is the sattvic force. And so it is the sattvic force which dominates the mahatattva and creates the feeling of I exist. This one here, mahatattva. And then after some time, well, we cannot really say time, it's beyond time, but but gradually we can say the influence of the sattvic force wanes and the rajasic force takes over, and then you have the force, then you have the ahang tattva, and then gradually the rajasic force is taken over by the tamasic force, and then the chitta is created. And so this is the process of the creation of the cosmic mind. And so that is called sanchara, and extraversial sanchara, because it's going from subtle to crude. And it is because of the influence of static prakriti that you have the crude solid. Means once it reaches the state of chitta, then starts the creation of the 5 fundamental elements. First is the ether, and then the air, and then fire, and liquid, and solid. So like sometimes it's easier to understand this when you think of that the microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. And so in our microcosm, in our system, we have here the throat chakra. This is the center of the ether. And then a little bit lower at the anahata, you have the center of the air. And then a little bit below that, at the navel point, you have the center of fire. And then below that, you have the center of liquid, and then the center of solid. And so, for example, when we eat, the food goes here in, and then it gradually returns as solid. So same way, the consciousness starts out in the ether and gradually becomes cruder and cruder until it reaches the stage of the solid. So that process is called sanchara. This word here, sanchara. Now, here says here, the process of crudification of chitta, having a coordination of mahatattva and ahang tattva, is divided into 5 stages known as kosas. According to their relative density of crudeness developed with one static principle, the 5 kosas starting from the initial stage are Hiranmaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Atimanas kosha, Manomaya kosha, and Kamaya kosha. These words are good to know if you want to understand the philosophy. It's good to memorize those. Hiranmaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Atimanas kosha, Manomaya kosha, and Kamamaya kosha. And so the Hiranmaya is the subtlest one, and Kamamaya is the crudest one. Now, there are some interesting sentences here. We should a little bit stop at each one. Okay, this sentence is important. The Kamaya kosha is the crudest state of chitta, where it is metamorphosed into the crudest stuff. With the 5 manifested fundamental physical factors, means these I was just mentioning. It is physical for the microcosm, but mental for the macrocosm. So this one, okay, nothing is beyond the scope of cosmic mind, that everything comes with its mental scope. So the way Sri Anandamurti normally explains this, when he wants to explain it in an easy way, in a way that everyone can understand, is that he takes the example of a magician. So you say, like, let's say you're a magician and you create something in your head, and then this thing in your head, if your mind is strong, you can make other people also see it. But it's just in your head, right? So same way, the cosmic mind has so much more capacity than our mind. The cosmic mind is the cosmic consciousness. So whatever it creates, it will manifest into this reality. And so for the cosmic mind, we are mental. We are the mental creation of the cosmic mind. But for us, we are physical. And so that's why it's called the Leela, or the divine play of the cosmic. Now, we can take some easy to understand example or parody of it, maybe, is the Matrix. So in the Matrix movie, if you have seen I'm sure they have it in many of them, but one of the things they do is that, let's say there's a mirror, and then he puts the hand through the mirror. Like let's say this is the mirror. So he puts the hand through the mirror. You see my hand is disappearing. So he puts the hand through the mirror. And so what it means in spiritual terms is that it's like in the Matrix, like the main hero there, what's his name? What's the name of the main character there? I forget. Neo, yeah, Neo, okay. So Neo, he has the capacity that he can actually see the code, He can close his eyes and he will just see the code that the Matrix is coded with, and the computer code. So in the same way, if you are able to penetrate, if you merge your mind with the macrocosmic mind, you will see the whole universe. And, so the whole universe is just a play of the macrocosmic mind. So for us, it's physical, but for the macrocosmic mind, it's just a mental creation. And so the universe is not some evil matrix that's made by some machines, but it's the mental projection of the supreme consciousness. Of course, there might be some machines that can also imitate that. I mean, we know that we have virtual reality. So yeah, maybe it's possible, but in the spiritual term, the matrix is the cosmic matrix, or the lila, or the play of the cosmic mind. And there's nothing beyond the scope of the cosmic mind. It's everywhere. And there's another aspect to it which is maybe not covered here, is that it has a connection with everything. So like you are never alone, or like it's always connected to you, both individually and to everyone. So that is called Ota Yoga and Kroda Yoga. That's another topic we can take later on. Okay, do you have any questions about this paragraph here before we move on? No question? Is beyond your understanding, or is too easy? Or I'm just not hearing anything? Maybe too easy. Or it's all clear.
You got a lot of frozen there.
Oh, I got frozen. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying, is it all very understandable, or?
I do understand it.
Okay.
Of course, it's hard to grasp how we are a mental creation for the universe. This is sort of like very abstract for me to grasp it, to understand that. I mean, the only thing I can think about is us being sort of like a projection, right? Or like a hologram. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we are living beings. We have our will. I mean, you see, the cosmic mind is so powerful that, we are not like a hologram. We are real. We have our own will. We have our own samskara, and we are playing, and we have our own individuality, and we are real for us. And for for the cosmic mind, we are part of it. We are like the hands and feet of the Supreme. And so spiritually, when we realize that we are part of the Supreme, we actually can become one with the Supreme. And so the allegory with the magician, Sri Janamurti used to say, you should join the magician's party. You have to know the magician. You have to become one with the mind of the magician, and then you know all the tricks. So for that we need the meditation. Okay.
Data.
Yeah.
So does inanimate objects also have a chitta, but just its most crude sense?
Okay, so
Or is it just-
chitta, ahang, and mahat is present in everything, but but it's not always expressed.
Okay.
So, like, let's say inanimate objects, they will maybe not have chitta per se,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there. It's just dormant. Yeah, their mind is completely dormant. You cannot see that, even that they have any mind. But of course, the consciousness is there. They are made out of consciousness.
And then, so as creation gets more complex, it starts expressing itself.
They start
chitta,
expressing.
and then the more subtle kosas start expressing themselves, and then you get the mahatapa.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why, when you have life form, then as soon as you have life form, you will see that the mind immediately starts developing. I'm just gonna take this call. Just give me 1 second. So we were talking about the chitta. Can you just say your question again, Keval?
Oh, well, You were answering it, but I was asking about but you said it's the chitta and the Ahamtapa and the Mahatapa is present in everything, but it just isn't expressed until creation gets complex enough to
Yeah,
I guess reflect it properly.
exactly. And so that's why once you have any life form, then immediately mind is expressed. So as soon as you have even the crudest life form, like just a bacteria, then as soon as you have that life form, then it means also that chitta is there. So like let's say you have a bacteria, it wants to eat, so it will eat something by just becoming one with it, and then it will divide itself by just dividing the whole body into two parts. But like let's say there is some object, some food for it here, and then it will just but it's perceiving that there is some food here, and that's why it just eats it. So that's an expression of chitta. It's a very crude expression, but it means it has a ability to perceive objectivity, and so the chitta is expressed. So in a stone, I would say it's all dormant. You can't really see any mind functioning in a stone. But as soon as the stone powders down and becomes a life form, a plant or a bacteria or whatever, then the chitta starts to function. But the ahang and mahat will be dormant. And so then, gradually it becomes more and more evolved. Thank you. That was a good question.
Thank you for the explanation.
Okay, so let's move on. Maybe Keval, you can read the next paragraph.
Yes, that from
The Manamaya Kosha.
okay. The Manamaya Kosa is subtler than the Kamamaya Kosa, and it has the capacity of recollection and contemplation. The Kamamaya Kosa being the crudest in structure, and in the case of the microcosm, dealing with the external Payan
Okay.
Kabuta.
Pancha Buddhas. Yeah. Pancha means five. Bhuta is element. Pancha Bhuta means five element.
Five elements. Is called the crude mind or
Stula Mana.
Stula Mana.
Yeah.
The Manomaya Kosa is known as the subtle mind or
Suksma Mana. Yeah.
Suksma Mana. The remaining three kosas being still more subtle and also being the rudimental stages of Stula and Suksma Mana are collectively termed causal or astral mind. The psychological nomenclature of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious minds for the crude, subtle, and causal minds does not appear to be correct. From the microcosmic...
Okay, all right, that's enough. It's all a lot here. Okay, all right, so here we have Manamaya Kosha is subtler than the Kamamaya Kosha. So you remember these two from the last time. And it has the capacity of recollection and contemplation, Smaran and Manan. These words are good to know, these two Sanskrit, Smaran and Manan. Smaran means to remember, Manan means to contemplate. So remembering is Smaran, and contemplation, Manan. The Kamaya Kosha being the crudest in structure, and in the case of microcosm dealing with the external Panchabhutas, is called the crude mind or Stula Mana. So you see here, he is saying psychological nomenclature of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious for the crude, subtle, and causal mind does not appear to be correct. Means Sri Sandamurti here, he prepares to use the words crude, subtle, and causal mind instead of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. But in other writings, he sometimes still uses conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. But in this context, he wants to use the words crude, subtle, and causal. He just doesn't want people to take conscious, subconscious, and unconscious as granted that they mean same as in Freud or in other psychologists of his time. Means he was not. He wants to make a point that his psychology, his definition of psychology, is not the same as the mainstream one or the one that you would read in Western psychology. Although there are some similarities, it's not exactly the same. And so this thing, we'll go more into it later because this is a very big topic, conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, because this is very much related to our meditation. Because he also deals with this in other topics where he is explaining how we can illuminate the causal mind or make it how to say, make it expressed, or how to make it more active, or normally we are not able to access it, but through meditation we can access it. And we will also go through that. What are the things which actually make it active? Now I want a little bit show you this chart here. I'll send you all of this. All of you have sent you this article. So this chart is useful. So here you have all the kosas. You see Mahatattva, Ahangtattva is beyond the 5 kosas, and then Chitta has all the 5 kosas. And here is this causal, subtle, and crude. So here you have an overview over it, so you can easily understand what we are talking about. So the causal kosas are Hiranmaya, Vijnanamaya, and Atimanas kosa. And the subtle one is Manomaya, and crude is Kamomaya. And then, of course, there's different names for the witnessing entity of each of those kosas. And we'll go into that later. And then here, oh, I'm sorry, this is the microcosm, and this is the macrocosm. And it's more or less the same, but not completely. The witnessing entities' names is different. So you see the in the okay, let's go back to the text. I think we are not ready for this chart yet. Okay, I think let's try to read through this paragraph and then we'll finish for today. So, Padma, are you able to read or?
That I don't think I'm able to.
Okay, no problem. Then maybe.
Sorry.
Okay, I can read this one. From the microcosmic angle of vision, the karma kosha of the macrocosm is expressed through the 5 rudimental physical factors from which the physical body and microcosm of the physical objects come into being. The kamamaya kosha of the cosmic includes, therefore, the anamaya kosha of the unit. So this is the body. Anamaya kosha is the body, the physical body. Here it may be pointed out that the macrocosm, in its flow of imagination, creates actualities for the unit mind, whereas the kamaya kosha of the unit cannot create physical actualities by its imagination. So this we know. I was talking about, let's say you're imagining some person in your mind, this person will not have its own life. You can imagine it, but then, or you can maybe make a story, you can make a whole book. You can create the whole book in your mind, but that person will not walk out of your mind and just starts having its own life. Whereas the cosmic mind can do that. As already seen, the Kamaya kosha having the function of dealing with the Buddhas is said to be crude mind in the case of the microcosm also. So the Kamaya kosha, that one is dealing with our motor and sensory organs, the function of hunger and thirst and autonomous function of the body and desires and all of these things. So that's why you call it crude, because it's dealing with physicalities. Now, Buddhas is the 5 elements, is the ether, air, fire, liquid, and solid. I'm highlighting these words because once you go through the text, if you know what each of these words is, it becomes easy to read the text. But if you don't understand them, it becomes overwhelming. The Manomaya, performing the function of recollection and contemplation, is known as the subtle mind of the microcosm also. And as in the case of macrocosm, the Atimanas, Vijnanamaya, and Hiramaya are the causal portion of the microcosm. But the division of the microcosm into a causal portion is merely a theoretical proposition. There is no separate existence of the unit causal mind from the cosmic causal mind. In the case of crude and subtle portion of the unit mind, suspend their work by the process of sadhana or otherwise, the causal portion of the unit mind will not be able to maintain the separate identity. Only the seed of past action will remain, just to differentiate the microcosm from the macrocosm. By the process of correct sadhana, the sadhaka will feel that there is one causal mind in the universe. There is no causal difference between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Similarly, by the subtleness of projection, subtle and crude portions of the unit mind can connect themselves with the subtle and crude portions of the cosmic mind. The way to achieve the settlement of projection is the process of yogic sadhana. So this is very important. There is no separate existence of the unit causal mind from the cosmic causal mind. And here, in the case of crude and subtle portion of the unit mind, suspend their work by the process of sadhana or otherwise, the causal portion of the unit mind will not be able to maintain a separate identity. So what this means is that if you are doing your meditation, so what is the crude and subtle? The crude mind is the mind controlling your body. It is the Kamamaya kosha. It's the mind which is controlling your desires, your thirst, hunger, and all of that. If you're able to suspend that one into your subtle mind or the Manomaya, then you will not feel your body anymore. You're meditating and you go beyond your body. You don't perceive the environment anymore. You already withdrew your mind from the environment. There's no environment anymore. There's no perception. You suspended it. Someone is talking, you're not hearing them. So that is suspending the crude mind. Now the subtle mind, let's say you are thinking, oh, I want to go and buy some food, and then I want to cook the food, and then I'll feed my children, and then I'll take them to bed, and then I'll watch a little bit TV, and then I'll do a little meditation, and again, and then I'll go to sleep. So this is the mind. So this is the subtle mind. This is the mind of planning, recollection, all of that. That is the Manomaya kosha. The Manomaya kosha is thinking all these things. I want to go and buy the food. I want to cook the food. I want to put this spice and that spice and combine this vegetable with that vegetable and not combine this and that. All of this is Manomaya kosha. Now, let's say you're doing meditation and your meditation is very successful and you suspend all of these thoughts. You suspend your subtle mind into the causal mind. And now you become one. You feel one, and then you realize that there's just one mind. There's just one causal mind, and your mind is just the causal mind. Your mind become one with the causal mind.
So
You
that's
feel-
another question.
yeah.
So when you're doing sadhana,
Yeah.
and then you are getting all of these perceptions, are these perceptions entirely new, or you will say they were there before, but I did not notice them, but now I notice them? Uh, what's the state that your mind will achieve then?
Perceptions, or you mean perceptions?
Yeah, the
You mean
perception.
you mean you're hearing a bird outside or crickets or something? You mean that?
Yes, yes. Yeah. So are you going to perceive things that were not there before, according to your perception, but they were always there, or you will completely perceive completely new things?
No, means you are trying to suspend the mind. In this case,
Okay.
you're trying to suspend the mind. In the case of meditation, you are not trying to perceive better. You are trying
Oh,
to just not perceive at all. You're going inside. You know, it's the Buddha Shuddhi. In the Buddha Shuddhi, you withdraw from the external world, and then you start to withdraw from your mind on body, and then you direct the mind towards the Supreme. Now, if you are successful and you're completely able to withdraw your mind and you're only in bhav, you're only just thinking about Supreme Consciousness, there's no other thought in your mind, then the mind just gets suspended into the causal mind. And then what Baba is saying here in this discourse is that if you do that successfully, you will realize that there is only one mind. There is only causal mind. Here, there is no causal difference between the microcosm and macrocosm. And so the only thing that is separating you is your samskaras. That is the only thing that is separating you, your unit mind, and the cosmic causal mind is the samskaras. And so that's why, in our process of meditation, we are gradually burning the samskaras. We are gradually processing the samskaras and preventing to create new ones, so that we can eventually merge completely with the cosmic. So anyway, I think this is enough for today. So you can see that this topic is very much related to meditation, because it is explaining how, if you are doing your meditation correctly, and you are able to withdraw from the external world and withdraw from your mind and direct the mind towards the cosmic, your causal mind will become one with your causal mind is one with the cosmic causal mind. We are not understanding it. And so we can actually suspend it. And he is saying that this can even be achieved also through the subtle and crude portions of the mind. So that is the yogic sadhana. So that is called, crude samadhi. Like, let's say you are seeing a flower, and then you just watch the flower, and you watch the flower, and you watch the flower, and then eventually your mind just becomes completely absorbed with the flower. You only see the flower. There's only flower. Your mind is full of flower. So that's like a crude samadhi. And so that is also possible, but it's nothing. It's not so desirable. We should not waste our time on that. We should try to, go for the bigger goal. We should go for the Supreme Consciousness. That's why we don't do that type of meditation in our environment. Okay, so any questions? I think I'll just stop the recording now. Thank you so much, Namaskar.